It's Real Fit Radio with B.
And J.LOU.
If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Pay attention to that light voice in your spirit. It's usually right. That's it.
What is
do this every time.
No. I can always tell when your energy's like you anxious or you in a different bag, you trying to switch hats. You good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can jump right into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. Before we do, a quick word from our sponsors, Journey of a Legend.
You. Yeah, you. What's your passion? Purpose. Every day you try, you succeed. The time is now. Journey of a Legend. It starts with you.
If you'd like to learn more or purchase merchandise, go to www.journeyofalegend.com. I'm back and I'm better. We're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. And it's funny because I'm not saying your energy is this way. Lou is my supporter. When I say supporter, he's not only my helpmate or husband or partner, but we support each other in our entrepreneur endeavors, passion, purpose, the craziness. He wears many hats, as do I. So sometimes I feel like maybe gotta get this podcast out the way because he started to get into another passion of his. So it's interesting because that's what this podcast is about today or tonight. I think that a lot of the times people get work, passion, and a hobby confused. And you can save yourself a lot of time if you identify what's what in the beginning. You'll save yourself a lot of time and you won't waste others' time. Because when you have supporters, and usually you don't have a whole bunch of them, they want to assist in any capacity they can. But when they're assisting you on something that you haven't identified as a hobby, that can be frustrating because sometimes we get caught up in working and we don't get to put time into the hobby. And somebody thought that that was actually a passion, and now they're like, what happened? I assisted, whether it was financially, whether I gave them time, supportive efforts, whatever. You're not doing this anymore. And it's like, I am. When I want to get some time, I'm going to do it. So that's what I wanted to talk about, identifying what goes where. Work sometimes can consume so much of the 24 hours we have in a day that we don't even have time for the hobby. But passion, you find yourself just doing it at 5 in the morning, 2 in the morning. You make time for it even though you say you don't have time. And that's how I've identified them. A passion is something I'm doing even when I'm not supposed to be doing it. I'm doing it even when I'm working sometimes, or when I know I'm supposed to be asleep, or when I know that I'm trying to find a little bit of space here to do this thing that I'm passionate about. And sometimes people think that passion is a hobby because they're like, I can't make money from this. This is a hobby, but I enjoy doing it so much. It's like you do it all the time. This is something you're obviously passionate about, something you enjoy doing, and it comes very naturally to you. This is not a hobby, but some people say it's a hobby because they can't see how it'll bring them the financial means to sustain itself. So have you found yourself getting them mixed up, or I'm just throwing it out there. I usually try to throw you a little net.
Oh,
So
you asking me?
yeah, or you could just dive in. You know me, I never come on about. We're talking about work, passion, and hobbies. And then it's like, go. So this is usually something I've been kind of thinking about, or when we turn the mic on or something, I'm like, hey, let's talk about that. Also, the goal is to have a takeaway from this. So this is something, again, I think is huge. If you can identify it, you'll be able to set aside or allot time to what you need to, or you won't get it mixed up to where you're wasting your time or wasting somebody else's time.
I think sometimes it can be difficult to try to figure out which one is hobby and which one is a passion. Work is pretty easy for me to figure out because most times it's something that I know I really don't want to do. Work is just a means to an end to sustain yourself just until your passion does turn into money. And then also, some people have this thought process where whatever it is that they're doing is just a passion and it will never really bring them money to get them off a job. one of the bigger ones, not bigger ones, but one of the industries that I think people feel like they would never be able to make money where it would be sustainable by itself is artists or painters. People who do that stuff, they may have a passion for art and culture, but I found myself hearing some people, even in movies sometimes I heard it, where they say I can never sustain off my artwork. So some passions, I think people haven't found a niche market or a niche way to make that work for them. But that's one of the reasons why people tend to stay doing something else besides that for as work was. Now, hobby can be an interesting one for me because some things I do enjoy doing a lot, but it can be confusing on what if it was a passion. Like case in point, I know football was at one point a passion of mine. Now it has fully converted over to a hobby. I don't even watch it on TV as much as I used to. I just can't find the time to sit down and watch 3 hours of a football game no more. Now I find myself just going on YouTube and looking at the highlights, to get to the point, as opposed to what I used to do when I was in my earlier years. I'd watch the whole game to dissect the game and enjoy it at the same time. And I think it's still there, but maybe that's a question I should pose. Can some things turn from passion to hobby at some point? I mean, that's an interesting way to look at it as well. But overall, I do believe you do need to figure out which one is which so that way you don't waste a whole bunch of time, because time you can't get back. You can always figure out some other stuff to do in terms of hobbies and not particularly passion. And I believe passion is something that you find yourself doing all the time. Like music, all throughout the day, I'm listening to some type of music. It doesn't matter what it is. It don't even matter if it's my music. I'm always listening to something, or I find myself listening to instrumentals just because I like hearing new music. And nobody has to tell me to do that stuff. It's just being done. I may be in the middle of a conversation and think about, oh, I can use that in a song. That's something that you should know without a shadow of a doubt. If you find yourself doing that with anything that you do, that's something you might want to consider really looking at and doing some soul searching to see and pray and ask to seek guidance on what you think you should be doing in regards to that. Because if you doing something over and over again and ain't nobody telling you to do it, and you find yourself doing it day in and day out, yeah, chances are that may be your passion. Some people have this thing where they say, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. That's because you never really sat with yourself and said, what is it that I do every day, all the time, and I can do it for free and I enjoy it? If you don't give yourself that time to really think about it, then yeah, of course you'll walk around and say that I don't have a passion. But it's there. It's always been there, and you just haven't really paid attention to it. Those things that you pick up and leave and pick up and leave, those are what I would consider hobbies.
I think that lack of finances can blur the lines between passion and hobby. And I even want to kind of step away from hobby because sometimes people are really, really good at something, whether they're athletic or they can draw, take pictures, dance, gaming. And those are just some just kind of off the top of my head. I believe because when they see or someone tells them they can make money at that, that becomes the passion. It's like, oh, I'm going to get deeper off into this because I'm good at it. So I need to put more time into it because if I get to this level at it, I can really make a lot of money from it. And I think that's when the line is blurred because it may have started out as you're just good at it, and it could be a hobby of yours. I find with me, what you're passionate about, you won't stop doing it. It's not if it happens, I didn't get the opportunity, you create opportunity. Just what you said earlier, and I just know we've sat and had our conversations before. It is funny to me because when we talked about you being younger, you'll tell me things like when you watch Tom and Jerry and you like the music in it. And then I might watch a movie and you'll reference, like, I remember that music from there. You've been listening to music your whole life and you're really good at it. You have a really good ear. But it's like you never left music. I think that athleticism, you're naturally athletic. And barring injury, just from me knowing you, music would have kept finding its way in there. I mean, it was with you the whole time. So I just feel like even with, and I'm just naming the people around us, Jair draws amazing. but she does it every now and then. If we need her to draw something, a logo, but it's not something she's always doing. But she doesn't go very long without getting in front of a camera, whether it's a picture recording, whether they're uploading to YouTube. She's somehow found her way where she's booked a job with somebody else. She stays in front of the camera. She's passionate about touching people in that way. And they say social influencer, but if that wasn't a name for it, she would have continued to find her way in front of a camera and connected with people in some way. If you saw the picture, she's going to say something under there. She's going to find a way to keep doing that over and over again. But the hobby is drawn because she just won't do it. And I think that's what happens. People can come and push where it's like, you're really good at this. You could go far. You could be the best. And, you get caught up over there because you're forced into, why not? Or if I learn more about it, I have a skill set here. I naturally was able to come and sit and play the piano, but I don't want to play the piano. I'm not passionate about music like that. I don't want to learn about all the other people that play the piano. But you find somebody that's in there studying and they want to take lessons there constantly. And then sometimes you're exposed to something, I think, and then it can turn into a passion. You're exposed to it at some point in your life, and it's like, I really like this. And that's another way. But I think it really sucks when those lines are blurred, when you get the hobby and the passion or an interest and you start really looking over there. And especially in these times, everything is about money. And I understand that we have bills and we have needs and we have a quality of life that we desire to have and want to provide for our families or loved ones, want to be able to give to people in need and so on and so forth. But if the main reason you're doing something is for the money, the passion might be just to make money. And I think people can really be passionate about getting money. If you tell them, if you learn how to build these motors for these computers or build motors for these lawnmowers, if you could do this, you could make at least $6,000 a month. I'm just making.
Yeah, I think Robert Kiyosaki is like that.
Oh yeah, investors have a passion. They're always looking for something to invest in, new projects, start a business. They don't want to be a part of the whole process.
Nope.
They want to flip the money. They love the thrill of, I got some real estate. I just invested in a startup business. I'm invested over here. And they love it. But it had to be identified because that same passion, unidentified, could be, you'll be a really good realtor. Look at those places you found. You put me up on them and you flipped them and you look how quick you made some money. You should go and get your real estate license. And if you're not careful, you'll think, oh, because that's bringing me money, maybe I should. So it's not the easiest thing to identify it. But if you know the drive is money and you're always looking for ways to make money no matter what, and I'm not saying money to pay your bills. Mark Cuban, I saw an interview with him that he seems like he's very passionate about making money, investing. He said he's constantly educating himself because no one's going to outwork him. There's no new people that are going to come in and know the ins and outs of an investment, and he doesn't. And Bitcoin, he just went on and on. Even Warren Buffett, he said he was reading penny stocks. When he was young, I wouldn't have been reading penny stocks, but it had to be something he must have enjoyed and the outcome of it, because this man is old and still investing. He's still doing it. And he's amassed the money. We talk about it all the time in sports. When I'm like, well, they made the money. Why don't they just retire? Why are you still there? And you said to me, Bear, when you're passionate about something, you don't want to stop doing it. Somebody couldn't tell me that Serena's not passionate about playing tennis. It's like, no, she wants to win. She already won. She's already got all the medals.
No, she just enjoy the game, and as she says, she'll play it until she just continues to lose consistently.
Or she said, or she can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know which one she lost recently, but I just saw there was like a caption and she's like, I didn't come to do this, but I did my best. She's still there. Somebody else may say, like, you got your money, but you're a goat. Like, why? It's a drive in her. So it's not a hobby. So even if the passion is making the money, you may have a passion for investing. And it may not be with stocks and mutual funds. It may be with flipping houses. It may be creating startup business. It may be coming in and investing with others and finding ways to create stuff and get it going, and you slide out and start something else.
Yeah.
They
once
love
they
it.
see it can run by itself, they move on to something else.
They're not even excited about it. And it's like, that's yay. And it's like, what's the next one? Let's lay the groundwork. Some people enjoy building. When I said lay the groundwork, I thought about interior designs. They architects. They're people that have a passion for that. But I'm just coming up with all this different stuff. I urge you to really sit and consider or get your ducks in a row. And I didn't even really go deep into work because some people will work their whole lives and they're good at it and it brings them money. And they look up and it's like, I was never passionate about it. I got into it because the qualifications, I met them. Smart, the skill set was there. Or I came in at an entry level position. I did really well. I worked my way up to the next position and next, and here I am. The money was good, benefits great, kids through college, or maybe it just afforded you the life you desired. You were good at it, but you're not passionate about it. So I think some people just walk off of jobs.
Do you ever think that it's just people that exist that just don't really have passion and that is all they care to do?
You're gonna laugh. I think that is their passion. They work. You ever hear somebody be like, man, I gotta stay working. I work 50, 60 hours a week sometime. I get in there and they know I'm gonna be there. And I'm gonna be the first one to show up and the last one to go. And when we watched the Twilight Zone, he said, they gave me a gold watch. I've been here 50 something years. To someone else who's not passionate about that particular thing, we're like, dang, you've been a janitor for 50 years? But to them, they're like, I'm the best at this. This is what I do. I know everything. I train every one of them to come through here. This is like a fine oil machine. And if I'm not here, it's not going to work right. And what's the other side of that is someone may say, if they're not there, it doesn't work right. The pencil needs the eraser. And that's the first thing that came to my mind. The pencil needs the eraser. Yeah. Or we should say the pencil needs the sharpener. I'm kind of cold tonight, you guys, so just bear with me. If this is your first time tuning in, go check out some other podcasts too. Yeah, I'm not always like this, but it's like, the peanut butter needs the jelly. You need everybody. It doesn't mean that that's where you have to be because you're good at it. The whole thing I'm saying is someone can be passionate about working. Someone's passionate about investing, building, music. The goal is find what you're passionate about. Don't try to pass the hobby off for the passion because you're going to frustrate yourself. You're not going to keep doing it.
Well, how will somebody end up doing that?
Pass the hobby off for a passion.
How do they do that?
Routine. Let's say we would go to happy hour every week and I shoot pool and I'm good at it. And they have games that are going there. You say, man, you could teach pool classes in here. You shoot well. Remember, I told you the money can blur the lines. So on Saturdays, I start kind of teaching pool for whatever age groups. I'm making money. It's side money. It's not interfering with my work, but it's consuming more of my time. Remember, that's what we really lack, time. So I have time in that hobby, well, which I think is a passion now. And I like it. I enjoy it. And it's bringing me more money. Happy hours right down the street. But over time, what can happen is I feel like it's a job now. Normally, a hobby, if you do it enough, feels like a job because you're going to have to start putting more time into it to get better, or you just find you don't like it anymore because I have to lend too much time to it. For instance, you had an injury, right? Some injuries take people out. Some people have returned better than what they were. I don't know, you would know the person you told me, but they came back better than what they were right before the injury. Some people that have injured end up coaching. They stay in there some way. They're attached to that thing still because it's a passion. They find a way to get back in there. If the injury takes them out, they might start coaching. If they're not coaching, they're close to it some way. It's a part of them. I think when the hobby is thrown in there that way, it kind of just dies out, or you find that you don't do it as much as you find what your passion is. Does that make sense?
Or another way of looking at it, you can discern what a hobby is. A hobby is by if you enjoyed it before you took it on as a task, and the things that you start to learn about whatever it is that you're doing, or you start getting frustrated with it because you don't want to do it and it starts to become a job to you, that's when you know it's a hobby and it'll eventually take up your time. Like some of my peers enjoyed football. They were quote unquote passionate about it in high school, and then they got to the collegiate level and then it became more of a, like you said, fine-tuned machine. Waking up 4 or 5 in the morning, film study, 6, 7, you got to work out. You got to make sure your diet is balanced. You really can't be doing all that drinking and smoking. And then that's when it starts to become real to you. Like whether it's, man, this shit feel like a job to me. Or I embrace this. Like, oh, this is a new challenge. If you find yourself saying this is a new challenge and I'm up for the task, as opposed to looking at the stuff that was not there before when you was just doing it casually, then you can pretty much identify, oh yeah, this is probably something that it is a hobby. I enjoy doing it when it's just like pick up ball, or every Friday we go shoot pool.
There's no commitment.
Yeah, before is that shit going in and I gotta really understand the game and I have to learn new skill sets, or I have to learn the jargon, because in order for me to teach a person, I need to know how to articulate that to them. This is too much. That's when you know it's like, okay, this is a hobby.
And sometimes you can feel like the thing you have to do is a lot, but if it gets you closer, or it's one of the things you have to check off to get to what you have a passion for, you'll do it. So the athlete, because that's the example you use, like, they may hate getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but they understand that comes coupled with what they were passionate about. So I'm going to do it. They may love eating fast food or just having a crazy diet, but they understand for them to go to the next level or be the best at what they're passionate about, they have to implement some discipline. Some things that you have to do.
No, you're not gonna like everything.
Right. For an example, for myself, I can plan a trip, I can find the deals, all that. I've been told before, and you say, "Oh, you'd be a good traveler, travel agent or trip." I know that. No. I'll do it for friends sometimes, but depending on how you catch me, and I'm good at it. What I had to identify is I like creating or getting people what they need or they're passionate about. So that comes in big things and smaller things. So if you tell me, oh my gosh, I have this honeymoon coming up and I want my honeymoon to be somewhere different, I start getting excited because that's a part of something that you're expressing a passion about. You want this to be a certain way. So we could create something beautiful together. But out of that, you tell somebody and this happened, man, the place she found, the price of everything, amazing. You should be no, I shouldn't be a travel agent. No, I enjoy creating. That was a moment we created together. Your honeymoon moment, whether it was days, weeks, we created that. So I had to identify, no, I enjoy creating. And that is likened to what I said earlier about investing. You made money when you flipped the property. You should know, I like making money. I like finding new investments. I like finding new ways to see my money grow, where my money's working for me and I'm not working for it, where I'm checking. I like the drive of it. That's how you identify the passion. But it can be misconstrued, or like you said earlier, somebody identifies it as one thing and it's like, nah, when you get to the collegiate level, oh, you know what? That was a hobby. You were good at it. But this is not your passion. Now that you're here, like you said, you at the collegiate level, we're done with high school.
You still want to be able to do the things you did in high school, which is have fun. And do what you want to do and still be successful at it. And then when you get to college, you realize, oh shit, I got to put in more work in order for myself to stand out, on top of giving up a lot of the things that I was able to do before. Yeah. And you hate
it. And right. And the cool part about identifying your passion is somebody else is directly and indirectly affected in a good way, because it's like the domino effect. When you do what you're passionate about, it touches people. It hits different. When people create art, that art is still seen. Even if people think that, yeah, I paint, but it's really not on that level, you don't know who it's inspiring. You don't know, once you get it from your head or once you partake in this thing and it's done, how it's going to affect others, or how one person may tell another person and someone connects this person. It's really beautiful to see that type of stuff. So you shortchange not just yourself, but others when you don't do what you're passionate about, because somebody is ignited in some way. This podcast impacted, inspired, empowered. We hear motivational speakers when they're, you need to do this, and you gotta want it as bad as you can breathe. If he never said those things, he wouldn't ignite. Some people need that. They wouldn't feel the power, the motivation through his speech and go and do what it is that they're passionate about, or begin to identify, what they want to commit to, or what they're going to now be consistent at doing, because they understand now that this is not what I'm passionate about. So I think the work jobs are easy to identify. I think that they are. I think they are. And I think if you sat down and said, I've been at this place for 10 years, the money's good, you'll know right away. Check the box, yes or no. If you didn't have to do it today and you could do something else and make the same money, would you do? Yep. That right there eliminates it. It's not a passion. It's not a passion.
Just briefly to go back to the point about what's the name? Thomas. I
Edison?
forgot his name. No, Thomas.
E.T.?
Yeah,
Eric Thomas.
E.T. Yeah. To go back briefly to talk about that section about needing somebody to motivate you. A lot of passionate people are self-starters. They don't need any motivation. But on the contrary,
No, I understand what you're saying. I got a little sidetracked because I know you're going to elaborate on it, but I was using E.T. as an example if he didn't do what he was passionate about.
oh,
Yeah. If he didn't do what he's passionate about,
then
other
that-
people might not have been directly and indirectly affected, and it's so on. That domino effect I was talking.
Oh, well then there's no need for me to go further then with that point.
Yeah, I just feel like you just don't know who's gonna be affected by your passion. So do it. Life is happening. And would you say 8 years have gone by like that? You don't know where they went.
If you don't be careful, time will keep going and you will be older and you will look up and still be in the same position and being frustrated or disappointed and trying to figure out what can I be doing that's different from this. And you definitely don't want to do that. And it's a lot of telltale signs on things that you are passionate about. Like we gave several of them earlier, so I won't repeat it again. But if you have to rewind it back and listen to some of the tips that we gave regarding how you can identify your passion and how you can identify hobbies and work. We just said work is easy, but hobby. But for me, I believe it's very important for people to live in purpose and passion because I think that's what fulfills people. I hear too many stories about people accumulating all this money and having financial freedom. And then when you get them in these interviews with people, you know, because sometimes they do them, and you can see it in their face like it's not really what they wanted to do, or they open up and they be like, you know, but I really wanted to do this. And then the interviewer would be like, well, why didn't you ever do it? And then they go into this extensive explanation about why they didn't do it. So you just don't want to be that person that get caught up in a whirlwind of, well, if it makes me money, then I'll do it and I'll find passion later, because you'll find yourself self-reflecting and being like, damn, I have much rather go through that process and maybe not make as much money as I've done, or maybe try to take a chance and see if I can make this type of money doing what I really love, as opposed to, well, I'll say this, wasting years away of my life of something that I truly didn't enjoy. Because you just never know what type of energy or life force was stripped from you doing something that you really didn't care for.
And there's no better time than now. I mean, with all the technology we have, people set up stuff from their phone. If you're not doing it yourself, you can post it. You can create it and put it out in the world and somebody can see it. You can do hashtags now. They have all kind of marketing for things. So if it doesn't exist, start putting it together and upload a picture of it or make sure it's protected. And I'm just talking about like tangible things. There's so many other intangible things, like challenge yourself. If you're not in your passion, set aside some time to one, identify it. And if you know what it is and you haven't been given time to it, or you've been stealing time but not giving more to it, where you can put it out there so that others can experience it, be helped by it, then you need to set aside some time. So be disciplined in saying, you know what, I give work 40 hours, or for some plus a week. I'm going to give an hour a day to what I'm passionate about. And in the beginning, it may be simply as an hour where you're purchasing the things that'll line up to where, and I'm just going to use painting as an example. If you enjoyed painting but don't have new paintbrushes and you have to buy the canvas and create a space where I'm going to be able to go and sit and just paint, or I'm going to clear out this part of the room of my house and I'm going to vlog, or I'm going to do videos, and I'm just making up stuff that we see every day, people are doing. Make time for it. Identify it, create time for it, commit to it, be consistent at doing it, and let it go from there. And I say that because I'm a firm believer in the gift will make room for itself. And sometimes when one door opens from something you planted a seed for, other things blossom out of that because it was attached to it. for you, Lou, we say you put over the music, but then you hear people talk to you about voiceovers all the time. And now you're going into the production part of it, where you're dealing with the production of the track itself. And all those things came into play because you honed in on the passion of making music. But it started out with you identifying and committing to, I'm going to write. You never wrote. You can't even do anything with your voice to make music. So it's all these little bitty seeds, that are planted, but these different things are happening because the one thing that you started to do. It's disheartening and it's crazy when you look up and it's just like, I never did what I had a passion for. You said you met parents. I don't want to say it's a bad way. They're not passionate about rearing their children, but some people get so engulfed in getting their kids into what they're passionate about.
Yeah, they forget about what they love and what they what they wanted to do.
Oh, they're lost after that happens. Like, I don't know what to do with myself. So start making time, find the time, find out what you're passionate about. And if you already know what you are, then put some more time on it. And if you're already doing all of this, then we all on the same page. This is just confirmation. I love confirmation. When, I meet a total stranger or I see something, a post, and it's just reaffirming or confirming what I've already in the midst of doing. That's pretty cool too, because it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing what I need to do. It's just like, it feels good because sometimes you really don't know. You don't get the reassurance, but you're just like, I feel I need to be here or I need to be doing this. And it may not make sense to anyone else and you may lack the support. Sometimes only
Yep.
and you just like,
Nobody
dang.
gonna tell you every time.
Yeah, or sometimes people, you're the first. Sometimes it's not for everyone else to know. It's just you. So it's scary, but it's necessary. For those of you that are in your passion, I was like, kudos to you. And I'm sending positive vibes and energy for you to stay in there because somebody is waiting on you. It's going to touch somebody directly, indirectly. Just know that it is all set up that way. And if you listen to this and you've been told, kind of, hopefully take away from this is where to start. Identify it. If you've identified it, create some time for it. So on and so forth. You guys know I'll repeat myself 1,000 times. But it's all in love and in hopes to encourage you to do what we come to do, and that is to inspire, impact, and empower always. That's my spiel.
Yep, that's mine too.
That's it.
I'll just be piggybacking off
Listen,
everything
that's
you
our
said too.
okay, guys. That's our time.
Yep.
If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to keep this conversation going, or you have a suggested topic, you can shoot us an email at realgoodradio@gmail.com. Our podcast drops every Monday, and it's on all the platforms right now. I encourage you to send in any platform you can't find us on, and we will get on it. But it's on quite a few platforms right now.
Oh, yeah.
But you can always catch a latest snippet of our most recent podcast at Real Good Radio on Instagram. If you're not following us, you definitely should be. As always, we hope this inspired, impacted, and empowered someone. Until next time.